Hello, my name is Charles Kyle, and this is Marketing Your Business for the Future. These days, there's about a million different ways to market your business online. Seems like every day new companies are coming out with new methods and new strategies and new tools, and they all promise to revolutionize my business, make me millions of dollars, all while requiring less work, of course. All it takes is my credit card number over the phone. Well, let me tell you, I've tried a lot of these strategies. Some of them work, some of them don't, but what I've found to always work the best is by sticking to the basics and focusing on the fundamentals. That's what I'm here today to talk to you about. When I say the fundamentals of online marketing, what I'm talking about is a website and a Google Maps listing. Those are the two main components that every local business should be utilizing. If not, you're losing customers to your competition. There's just no doubt about it. I've gone through this process dozens of times with dozens of companies all over the United States, and it always plays out the same way. I worked with a well pump contractor in southern Idaho, a well driller in Arizona, and even a water treatment company in the Midwest. It works the same for all of them. We get their website put together, we get their Google Maps listing connected properly, and then we make sure that people can find them. That's all it takes to get the phone ringing. I'm not just talking about those spammers that always seem to find our phone number the second we put it on the internet. As a remodeling contractor, I use the same strategy in my own business. And this year, we brought in so many customers that we had to turn most of them away. Hey, I'm not complaining. It's a pretty good problem to have. I'm here today to spread the word and share what I know from experience. This presentation is in a bit of a different format than what is typical at one of these events. I know because last year in Vegas, I attended Groundwater Week and I sat in on a bunch of classes. It was a lot of fun, and I regret not getting the chance to speak to you in person, but this opportunity presented itself in a different way, and I hope that this new format is valuable for you. This presentation is roughly 40 minutes long. At the end, we should have 15 to 20 minutes for a Q&A session where you can ask me questions and I'll do my best to answer them as quick as I can. I probably won't be able to get to everybody, so I'll leave my email at the end so that you can send me your questions, and again, I'll do my best to answer them. Before we dive in, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. I had a lot of fun making this presentation, and if you can just take home one thing and apply it to your business, then it will have been worth it for me. So with all of that said, let's get into it. So what are we going to cover today? First, I'm going to show off. First, I'm going to explain to you how Google works. The reason why I focus on Google is because it's on our phones, it's on our computers, it's everywhere we look, and even my nieces and nephews have smartphones these days, which it's debatable whether that's appropriate or not, but that's beside the point. The point is that everyone has a phone, everyone has a computer, and they're using these to find the local services that they're looking for. So understanding how Google works and what their motives are is an integral part of utilizing the tools that they offer us business owners. Once I've explained a little bit about how Google works, I'm going to show you the qualities of a good professional website, one that gets results. Not just a pretty design or one that the owner likes, but one that actually gets real-world results, provides value to customers, and brings those customers to the business and allows that business to grow. Once you understand some of the qualities of an effective website, I'm going to show you how to make sure that that website shows up on Google when people are searching. And besides that website, I'm also going to show you how to make sure you're showing up on Google Maps, which is another place that people commonly look. So common that it's even on top of the Google search and often the first thing that people see when they're searching for a local business. Once we're finished with that, I'm going to hop into my computer and give you a demonstration of what it's like for somebody searching for a local business in my area and finding my business on Google. Once they've found my business, I'll show you what it's like for them to go through our website and to reach out to me and become one of my customers. Now, in the modern age, people are using their smartphones and their computers to find local businesses. And the vast majority of people are using Google to do their searching. It's become so widespread that the term is now called, Google it. So if everybody's Googling it, then that means we need to make sure we're being found on Google. So let's quickly talk about how Google search works in the first place. So Google is a giant company, and the vast majority of their revenue comes from advertising. So if people are online, they're using Google services or they're browsing websites, you'll see advertisements all over the place. Most of these are coming from Google. So let's just talk about what happens when you do a Google search. So you go to Google, you type in a service in your area and you press enter. Now, the search results page pops up, and the first thing you typically see when you're searching for a local business is the Google ads. So these websites that you see on the top are advertisements. Someone is paying Google to be there, and they don't actually pay Google until somebody clicks on one of these ads. So that's why it says ad in really small print next to it, because they have to let you know it's an advertisement, but they don't want to put it in your face that this is an advertisement. Now, it's really common for people to skip over these because they don't like the idea of being advertised to. They're using Google to find something on their own. They don't need Google telling them what to find. So some people will just skip on down, while other people will click on one of these ads. Some people know their ads, some people don't know their ads. Either way, they're usually the first thing you see, so they garner a lot of the clicks. The next thing you'll see underneath the ads is Google Maps. So most of the time, you'll see 3 businesses show up in Google Maps. Once in a while, you'll see 4, and the top one will be an advertisement. So Google Maps is a fantastic way to find a local business because you can see all their information right there. You can see the name of the company, their business hours, their address, phone number, and most importantly, you can see their reviews. So if you're looking at Google Maps, you see the reviews in bright orange, and it really draws your attention there. Below the Google Maps is where all the websites are. So if you used Google 10 or 15 years ago, this is all that you saw. You would do a Google search and you would see a list of websites, and that was it. It's only been in the last 10 to 15 years that they've added these other services. Now we have to remember, Google makes its money from people clicking on advertisements and using their platforms. So Google's #1 goal is to keep people on their platform. When you do a Google search, if you scroll down and you click on a website, you are now off of Google's platform onto someone else's website. That is why Google has made such a dramatic effort to pack as much value on top of those search results as possible in the form of Google Ads, images, featured snippets, Google Maps, and dozens of other things that they'll throw in there because they want you to find what you're looking for on their platform. Because the more that you're on their platform, the more advertising revenue they'll be able to make. So the holy grail for any local business is to be found in all 3 of those main places, in the Google Ads, in the Google Maps, and the website search. And if you can get your company to show up in all 3 places, you are most likely to get the clicks, to get the attention, and to get people thinking about hiring you for their next project. So we've talked about how Google works. Now let's talk about what qualities your website should have to get the best results possible. So first of all, it just needs to be clean and organized. When you look at a website, the human eye can tell within 1/10 of a second whether things make sense or not. And by make sense, I mean things are symmetrical, there's even spacing around objects, there's consistency in objects. You don't have text bouncing back and forth, or you don't have an image that's hanging off the screen and only half visible when it doesn't make sense. So just little details like that. We don't really notice it outright, but our eyes pick up these details and they'll just give us like a gut feeling about something. It's like walking into a room and just feeling like something's off. It's the same phenomenon, but with a website. So the website, first and foremost, just needs to have a professional design, be clean and clear and well organized. Now, besides that, it needs to start with a sort of headline that describes exactly what your business does, or, and more importantly, what the person is searching for. If somebody searches for a water well driller in their city and they see your advertisement and it says water well driller in X city, and then they click on that and they go to a page that says water tanks, they're going to be like, huh, that's weird, that's not what I was searching for. What you want to show them is exactly what they were searching for. If they're searching for a water well driller, then you're going to want to have water well driller on top of your website in the headline somewhere near the top of the screen. Now, besides that, you just need to think of things through the perspective of your customers. So if your typical customer is reaching your website when they're looking for your services, what kind of information are they looking for? What kind of questions do they have? You've been talking to these kinds of people for a long time. You know what kind of questions they ask. So answer these questions on your website. Do everything you can to give them the best experience possible and give them a good first impression of your business by understanding them as best you can and answering their questions and giving them the information they need to get what they're looking for. So if they want a well drilled on their property, they're going to have a few standard questions, most likely. They're going to want to know, what do I need to do? What do I need to know? What do I need to do? Who do I need to contact? All of those kinds of things, so that they can get this problem solved once and for all and move on with their lives. That's what everybody wants. They're just looking to solve the problem as quickly and easily as possible. So your website should facilitate that process and cater directly to the step that they're on. If somebody is looking just for information, then the website that you show them should address that need for the information. If they're looking to hire somebody right now, then your website should address that by showing them the process that they need to go through to get that problem solved. Now, that is the customer aspect of your website. There is also a technical aspect, or sometimes I call it the Google aspect. We're not just making these websites for our customers. We're also making it for Google. We want Google to show this website to the people that we want to be our customers. So there are certain things we need to do. And the act of building a website for Google is called search engine optimization, or SEO for short. Now, SEO is people make a full career out of SEO. It would be impossible for me to explain all the little details and intricacies of SEO in this short video. So I'm just going to tell you about a couple of the main things that make up about 80% of it. So first of all, we have the headlines on your website. Those headlines are typically the text that is big. The big text is typically called headlines, and there is a technical way to code those headlines in so that it tells Google, hey, these are the headlines, this is what this website is about. So your headlines need to contain the keywords that are related to your business. So if you are a well drilling contractor, then your headline, at least some of your headlines, should contain information about water wells, contractor, definitely should mention the city that you're in, or maybe where your headquarters is if you cover a large region. You want to use these headlines to signal to Google what you think people are searching for, so that Google will show your website for those searches. Next, after headlines, is title tags. Now, every page on your website has a title tag, and it's something that you code in, and it's specifically for the search results page. So when you search for your business online and you find it in the Google search results, what you read there as the title is called the title tag, and you can manually set that. And it's the same deal with the headlines. You want to set that and relate it to the keywords that you think people are going to search for when they're looking for your type of business. Now, title tags also are what show in the little tab. So if you have a website browser open like Google Chrome, whatever shows up in that tab is the title tag that you set. A third critical piece to SEO, or search engine optimization, is how your website works on mobile phones. So a lot of people these days are searching for things on their mobile phones. And for a lot of businesses, in particular local businesses, the majority of people are finding them on their mobile phone. So it's important that your website looks good on a mobile phone and is super easy to use. You know, a computer screen is like this big, but a mobile phone screen is only this big. So you have a lot less space to work with. So the design of your website on a mobile phone needs to be clear, concise, clean, speak to the point, and cater directly to the short attention span that people have these days. You know, people are on their phones all the time. They're texting, they're calling, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on YouTube, they're scrolling, and they're looking for things that will give them a little hit of dopamine before they move on to the next thing. What I'm getting at is people have an extremely short attention span. So your website can't dilly-dally when it comes to giving them the information they need and showing them and guiding them on what they need to do next to solve this problem that they have. So the way that your website looks on a mobile phone is critically important. What's also important is how long it takes to load. People have short attention spans. There's just no way around that. And if your website is taking too long to load, they're just going to skip it and go to the next one. So your website needs to load very quickly. And it's so important that Google has now made it one of the main factors for search engine optimization. Meaning, if your website's really slow, Google's not going to show it because it knows that people aren't going to wait around to see the information. Now, the final thing I'm going to talk about with SEO is the URL. So the URL is also called your domain name. It's the www.yourwebsite.com. That's the URL. And every page of your website is going to have a different URL. It will be www.yourwebsite.com/page1, something like that, /well drilling contractor, /Arizona. Each page has a unique URL, and the words that you use in that URL are going to be used by Google to understand what your website is or what that web page is about and how to catalog that. So being strategic about what you put in your URLs and tying that in with what you put in your headlines and your title tags is going to allow you to target more keywords and get found for more searches. If there's only one keyword people type in to find you, well, then that keyword should be in all of those places. So those are the 4 main pieces of SEO that you should be aware of on your website. But what about Google Maps? Is there any way that we can get Google Maps to show up more on Google? I mean, if somebody searches for your business and they're standing on your location, most likely you're going to be showing up on Google Maps as number 1, because Google Maps is first and foremost based on proximity, meaning anybody close to you is going to see your business. But somebody on the far side of town or in the next town over probably isn't going to see you. So what can we do to broaden the reach of our Google Maps listing? There's a couple things you can do. A lot of SEO deals with Google Maps in particular, but the number one thing that you can do if you have more than one area that you serve is to have a unique page on your website for each area that you serve. So if you serve 3 major cities or 3 main cities or towns, then you want to have a unique page for each of those cities. So what kind of information do you put on these pages? In the water industry, groundwater is dependent on the geology and the area you're in. So chances are, if you serve a wide area, you're going to be dealing with different kinds of ground, geology, different kinds of water. If you're doing water treatment, you're going to be addressing different issues and contaminants in the water. So for each location page that you have, you want to be addressing the specific issues that people in that area have. And you want to make the content relevant to that area. So talk about the area. Talk about the problems they have in that area. Mention specific landmarks and key features that belong only to that area, because this is going to signal to Google, okay, this page is about this area, and I know that because it has all this context that only relates to this particular area or this particular city. And the more of that relevant information you have, the more the Google robot is going to start to think of your business as one that works in that area. And that's what you're going for. Now, with Google Maps, there is limitation to how far away you can get that thing to show up. And traditionally, it's very difficult to get your Google Maps listing in one city to show up in another city, especially when you have a load of competition in that other city. Google Maps is going to show them before you because they are closer, so it makes complete sense. So if you've tried location pages and you've tried other strategies that you've found and you just can't get those listings to show up in other cities, then the final solution is to get a listing in that other city. So you have to have another address over there, and it can't be a PO box. Some of my clients will even rent an office in another city just to get that Google Maps listing. And sure, it costs $500, $1,000, sometimes even $1,500, which is a lot of money. But that listing alone can bring in dozens of leads a month and more than make up for that investment. So it could be a good strategic move to look into getting listings in other places. Now, some companies will have a main headquarters in one place, but they have little yards and satellite locations where they run their business from. So each one of those locations, if you can get mail there, you can get a Google Maps listing. So I highly recommend that. Every address that you have that you can receive mail to should be a location for your website. And each one should have its own listing. So you have to be careful with Google Maps. You don't want to try to lie and cheat and steal from Google. They will punish you by just erasing you off the map, literally. So be honest, but take advantage of these facts that you can have listings in multiple locations, you can get reviews on these listings, and they can generate business for you in the future. Okay, so I've talked to you about how Google works. I've shown you some of the things that you should be on your website and some of the qualities of a professional website that gets good results. And I've also talked to you about Google Maps, some strategies for getting your Google Maps listing to show up when people are searching, and I really stress the importance of having all of these pieces put together. So now that we kind of understand the basics of this fundamental marketing system, let's hop into the screen and see what's going on. So we are going to go to google.com and we are going to search for a bathroom remodeler in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And if I've done my job right, we should show up somewhere near the top. Bathroom remodel, oh look, it's already typed in. Okay. So the first thing we see is advertisements. Not surprising. What's also not surprising is that Home Advisor is one of the top advertisements. Pretty typical. Let's go down to Google Maps. Okay, there we are, right there. NL Kyle Construction. Now, if you look here, we've got three companies here. All three of them have 5-star ratings, and us and these guys both have 12. So we're tied. Mine says that you manage this profile, so that makes it stick out a little bit more to me, but a normal person's not going to see that. And it also shows that we are in Dalton Gardens, where these other companies choose not to show where they're located. So in my opinion, it's always best if you can show where you're located, because it will give you a little bit more screen real estate. It'll give you more buttons, and it'll also show you right up here on the map, where as you can see, it doesn't show these other guys. So let's skip down just to see. Okay, look, so we are number 2 on the organic search results, right underneath Home Advisor. So most of you guys and girls have probably heard of Home Advisor before. They invest tons of money on being found up here at the top of Google. You can see they're even beating me, and I'm like an SEO ninja, so that says a lot. But the one place that companies like Home Advisor, Angie's List, all of them can't compete with you on is on Google Maps, because they don't have a physical location here, so they're not going to be able to compete. That's why it's so cool when you can get your business to show up here in the top 3, because then you get to be right here on top of the Google search, right underneath the ads. And remember, all these companies are paying to be here. Like, I'm not paying to be here, so it's a really good deal. So let's just open up my listing and see what kind of information is in there. So we've got, so it shows a bunch of us on the map now. You can see Home Depot is paying for an advertisement up here. And when I say top 3, you can see what I mean. There's tons of them here. But we are in the top 3. And remember earlier how I said it's really hard to get your Google listing to show up in another city? Well, I know from experience, because we're actually located in Dalton Gardens, Idaho, which it's like its own little suburb of Coeur d'Alene. So it took me a long time to get my listing to show up in Coeur d'Alene. But I managed to do it. It took about 2 years. Okay, so I've got my listing open here. Let's look and see what we can see. So I've got my address, phone number. I've got a bunch of pictures here, and we've got a bunch of reviews. So these reviews are huge. Almost everybody that calls us through this means reads these reviews first. And we've got one here like Jason's. He left a really good review. He talked about things that we worked on at his house. And I'm telling you these things because it would be best if the customers that leave reviews for you talk about the specific services that you provided for them. So I had an issue with my pump. We weren't getting any water, and this company came and they figured out our problem, and they were able to replace the pump with a better pump. And the more that they talk about it, the better it's going to be. And Jason was kind enough to even add pictures. So if they can add some pictures, that's really cool. You can add pictures too. Like, I added all of these photos, and I get an email every month from Google telling me how many thousands of people looked at my photos. So just as you're going along each day at work, be taking pictures, post one in here. You can even do cool shots like this of our apprentice, and just show off your work. Be proud of it, and people will find you. Alright, so I want to show you what it's like from my customer's perspective, when they go to find me. So they type in bathroom remodel in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. They see the ads, they go down here and they say, oh, this one looks good. Let's click on through to their website and check them out. And so they'll come here, and the first thing they notice is that, oh, it's really clean, it's bright, that's a beautiful house back there, remodeling, additions, and custom homes, general contractor in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Okay, perfect. It says remodeling, which is what they're looking for. It says Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is exactly what they typed in. So far, so good. They can scroll down a little and they can see, oh, okay, yep, they have 12 reviews. I already saw that, but it's good to drive that point home. they can read this and learn a little bit about us, and they can scroll down and see, okay, bathroom remodeling, they definitely do that. Well, let's click read more and see more of these bathrooms. So they can read a little bit about us. Again, they can see some pictures of bathrooms remodeled. You know, we've got some very nice photography. I took this picture with my phone. It's a Google Pixel, so you don't need super high-end camera equipment to do this. Most phones these days have really good cameras. And they could read a little bit. Maybe they relate to some of these things. Cabinets are ugly, the floor tiles are popping up. It's impossible to make my bathroom look clean. These are all things that people have told me before, so I just put them on my website. Bathroom renovations, okay, you know, these guys look legit. They look like they have what I need, so let's press the request a meeting button and see what happens. All right, schedule a meeting. Pretty typical to find a contact form. I'm gonna go ahead and fill this out. Everything autofills because I use this computer all the time. What year was my home built? It was built in 1997. Few sentences, well, I want a bathroom remodel. And do I have plans? No, I do not, but I would like you to draw them. How much would I like to invest in my project? Let's say 10,000. And when would I like this to be completed? ASAP. Now, if I had some pictures, I can upload them, but I don't, so I'm just gonna press submit. Now, normally this is when a little message would pop up and say, oh, thank you, we will call you back, and that's it. But that's not where it ends on my website. Now we go to the schedule a meeting page, and we can read some clear instructions that what's going to happen if you schedule this meeting. These people are going to come to my house, they're going to talk to me about the project, and if I have any questions, I can email this person right here, and you know, they can help me find a date if none of these dates work for me. But I see Friday the 27th. That will work for me because I'm home on Fridays. 9 in the morning would be perfect. So I choose that time. I again type my name in here and my email address, and I'm gonna type in my phone number. Let's see. All right, and I can review everything I said here. So it's a 30-minute meeting. Norm's gonna come to my house. It's 9 a.m. to 9:30 on Friday, November 27th. Okay, cool, schedule event. All right, confirmed, you are scheduled, and it's redirecting me somewhere. And, oh, okay, it went back to the website. Thank you for scheduling a meeting. And a calendar invitation has been sent to my email address. We'll skip forward to my email, and here we go. We've got a meeting with myself. It's on Friday the 27th, and I can confirm that I'm going. And if I go over to my Google Calendar, I'm gonna see that meeting there as well. So the cool thing about this is that the person I scheduled a meeting with, like, remember, I'm the customer, so I haven't had to talk to anybody. I just was able to go online, find what I was looking for, schedule the meeting. It took me less than 5 minutes, and it was just a really smooth process. And you can see here that all of the information is here in my calendar. I'm going to get a notification 24 hours before the meeting. I'm also going to get a little alert 10 minutes before in case I forgot last minute. So super seamless, and just a really great experience overall. Diesels. So there you have it. That's how easy it is for someone to schedule an appointment with us, and this is something that you can set up for yourself as well. If you are interested in this calendar, then you can go to calendly.com and go ahead and sign up there. Let's check out the pricing really quick. So basic is $0 per month, totally free. You get one calendar, It still integrates with your calendar or with your Google Calendar. It also does Outlook and iCloud and Office 365. You can have unlimited events, and it's really just a cool service. If you don't even have to have it on your website. You can have a link on hand, and then when people call you, you can just say, hey, I'm in the field right now, I can't talk, but I can send you this link to my calendar, and you could schedule a time to either meet in person or just have a phone call. It's totally up to you. And so it's been about 3 minutes since I filled out that form on my website, and I've got it set up so that I get a text message also. So I just got a text alert that somebody filled out the form on my website. I can see their information here, so if it's the kind of project that I really want to get, or something about this customer sounds really good and I want to talk to them right away, I'll just call them right now and give them the immediate best service I possibly can. But even if I don't call them right away, they've set up a time on my calendar. I'm going to go meet with them, and it's just been a really great experience for them so far. And you compare that to other companies, it just doesn't compare. It's just so easy, and it's the best way that I've found to do it so far. So there you have it. Roughly 35 minutes of knowledge drop about marketing from my perspective. I want to leave you with a little bit of parting advice. First of all, you got a lot of information today, and if you check out the resources that I'm including with this presentation, you're going to get a whole lot more information. But none of it's any good without proper execution. So taking action is definitely the most important step to all of this. Even if this seems like a lot and you aren't really sure what to do, just try doing at least one thing. Try taking action on at least one thing. I've included some resources about how to audit your current website if you've already got one. And there's also a lot of articles that I've written, and probably videos too, on my website about different aspects of this. I know I have one or two about Google Maps, setting up the listing and getting it to rank well. So definitely check that out if you're interested. A lot of you might not want to do this yourself, but if you do, there's definitely pros to that. It's more affordable, and you're in a lot more control, which is great. And in my opinion, any business owner or manager that can handle their own marketing and get good results is worth their weight in gold or Bitcoin, whatever is valuable these days. If you're going to hire someone else to do it, whether it be a freelancer or a marketing company, here's what I recommend. First of all, know your metrics and know your goals. Understand what your revenue numbers were last year, how many sales you had, the average profit from each sale, how many leads it took to make those sales, leads being phone calls and contact form inquiries. Understanding those things will allow you and your marketer to figure out exactly what you need to do to get the results you want, which brings me to your goals. You need to know which results you want exactly. You need to have concrete numbers written down so that you can say, okay, this year I had X and it took Y and Z. Next year I want A and it's going to take B and C. You just need to know these numbers, preferably before you talk to a marketer. Now, when it comes to actually hiring somebody, first of all, I recommend talking to at least 2 or 3 companies. Get at least 2 perspectives on your particular project and your market. Also, see if you can find somebody that works with your industry or has a good track record working with companies like yours. It used to be that you wanted to find somebody who was an expert on Google Ads if you wanted Google Ads, or you wanted to find somebody who was the best web designer in the world when it came to your website. But these days, I believe it's best to find somebody that understands your market and your industry best and that does all of those things. You want the same person or the same company handling your website and your Google Maps and your SEO and your Google Ads and your Facebook and as many things as possible, because it's important to keep an eye on all of those. They're all interrelated, they all work together, and they don't really work very well separately. So finding somebody that understands your business and also understands all of the aspects of online marketing, though it might be hard, there's tons of people out there, so I know that you can find them. I know there's a couple roaming around the NGWA circle. So we should have 15 to 20 minutes left. Please ask me any questions you want, and I'm going to get on there live right now and do my best to answer as many of these questions as possible. Again, in the resource pack that I included with this presentation, you can find my email address and my phone number. Please don't give it out and tell everyone to call me, but if you watch this presentation and you have a specific question or something I can help you with, please email me or call me and I'll do my best to help you out. All right, thank you so much for watching, and let's answer some questions.